Google Stitch is free, Claude Design is not. So I gave them the exact same prompt and one question. Does free mean worse? One of them looks better, the other one actually works. By the end of this, you'll know which is which. I gave Claude Design and Google Stitch the same AI web design brief. Build a 4-page furniture site with a working price configurator. Same prompt, both tools, zero help. No follow-ups, no fixing, no second tries. And to keep it fair, I'll be comparing top model against top model. Claude Design on Claude Opus 4.8 and Google Stitch on Gemini 3.1 Pro. Whatever they handed me is exactly what you are about to see. I'm judging this based on 6 things. So overall looks, image, mobile responsiveness, the actual configuration feature, the design underneath, and Figma Export. 6 rounds, let's score it. First, why this is a fair fight. Both tools got the same product, a modular sofa called Mesa. Same 4 pages, same configurator options, same pricing logic. The one thing I did not tell them was how it should look. No colors, no fonts, no mood. Let's input it into both tools and see the results. I composed prompt in this way because I wanted their personalities to show. Because when you over-specify the look, every AI hands you the same safe website. Under-specify it, and you find out what the tool actually believes good design is. So that's what we'll be checking for both Claude Design and Google Stitch here. Let's start with the round 1, first impressions. So this is the result that we got from Google Stitch. First of all, we have a real photography here, really nice colors. Let's start with the homepage. Well, first of all, we have a design system. So this is a Google Stitch specialty. They generate design system for every design input, which is pretty cool. I'm, as a designer, really love it. We have assigned colors, we have typography, we have like a headline, body, label, secondary editorial neutral. We have buttons specified, search, icons. Pretty awesome, really simple, but it's here already, which is always great, especially if you will be making a huge website. Then let's go to the homepage. So first of all, we have photography. It's a bit blurry, but it's there. And Google Stitch made this text readable, which is really nice. Then some standard highlights. Then we have specification because Mesa should be like a modular sofa, so pretty on point. And then like call to action and footer. The next page is configurator. There is something wrong here, but we'll check it later. Features page, we have big image here. There is some highlight of feature, fabric, how it made, pretty cool. And then some assembly steps. Then specification page, everything is structured pretty great. One thing to point out that to make a prototype, I need an extra step. So I used prompt, I generated all of this. And then to make a prototype, you needed actually to click this like prototype button, and then it creates this stuff. Nice. Let's see what Claude has. So here's Claude. The first obvious thing, Claude doesn't generate images, so we all have placeholders here. We'll go back to it in one sec, but let's make an overall view what we have. Right from the point, we have more selling points, like we have a price, we have this like kind of return highlight, then we have configure your button and specifications. So we have like this functional call to actions. Then the highlights, big CTA, start your configuration. Let's start. We have this illustrative style here. Okay, when we change, it changed. Pretty cool. Then we have like different options and add to cart. Let's see other pages and then go back to the configurator. So features. The layout of feature is pretty standard. So we have image and text on the right. There is some highlights here to showcase important information, you know, kind of like selling point. But overall, layout is not really creative. Let's say that. I love that there are CTA lines on the bottom. And then the last page that we need to check is specification. Okay, so specification is more informational. So we have like a lot of text here. So based on the looks only, Claude looks like a wireframe actually, and Google Stitch looks like a finished website. Let's check the configurator. And first thing, we'll go to the Google Stitch and we'll go into our prototype mode and we'll launch it. So here we have our prototype. So here we can see how it will be looking, and we can see all the active elements. So we have like the start building, and this is the page I'm mostly interested in. It's configurator. First of all, I see that it's kind of broken. So we have close up on image if I hover on it, but I assume that this part is a footer that just didn't generate well. Okay, but overall, I want also to see how this page work when you configure actual sofa. So we have a price here. Here's our total, 12.90, and then we'll be adding like this 3 seat section. So this image flashes, but nothing changed. Okay, maybe there is a label here. Probably it's changed. So yeah, if I choose other type of brick, it showcase here, and then the color and the color change here. And then I can choose flex. So yeah, and the price changed accordingly, which is pretty cool. So configurator is working, but there are a lot of questions like what's up with this footer and why this image here, should it be responding more to the type of sofa that you configure? Let's see how configurator feature works in Claude Design. So here in Claude Design, let's open it in the new tab. So here's full page, and let's go configure our sofa. So here right away, we have this kind of illustrative style image. And when we choose different configuration, it shows here right away. It's illustrative, and let's choose another color. If you choose L-shaped sofa, you still have one of your legs here, which is not really bright, but yeah, we have what we have. This is AI generated stuff and it's shown. We just testing this feature, how it works. But overall, you can see that it's shown the type of textures that we want to give our sofa, and it showcase right away on our illustration. Then when we scroll down, this illustration stayed on the left, and we can see all the options here and continue our choosing, and then we can choose different leg finish, etc. And the price changed also, and I really like the UX here because we can see all the options that we selected above. We can see right here and see how the price changed. So this is really user-friendly and I really like it. Huge plus to Claude Design. And this is the split of this whole video. Stitch built really beautiful shell, but when we go to the actual configuration option, it broke really easy. And Claude Design built actually thought through great UX feature that really working well. Let's go back to the images and talk a bit more about them. This is not a one-sided fight, and here is the reason for it. Remember those placeholders in Claude? We have them here and on the features page. There is a reason why Stitch has real imagery and Claude has placeholders. Google Stitch has image generation built in. It uses Nano Banana Pro, Google's model built on Gemini 3, right inside the tool. You describe a shot, it makes it, and it drops it into the page, which is pretty awesome for website design. And we have this beautiful imagery created specifically for our website topic. And while this homepage image looks pretty generic, if we go to this like features page, we have this modular thing generated, like architecture of our sofa, this fabric samples, and also this is pretty cool thing, we have generated image of the structure inside our sofa. For Claude, there is no such an option. So if you want image inside the Claude, you need to go to a separate AI tool, generate this imagery, and bring them into the Claude. That's a real workflow gap. For some people, it could be the difference between shipping today or not. Let's test the next important thing, and it's mobile responsiveness. So if we go to Stitch and we go to this prototype mode, we have option to switch between views. So right now we have desktop, and if we click on this kind of icon, we'll go to the mobile. And here's our mobile version of Google Stitch prototype. I remind you that we didn't include it inside the prompt, but we wanted to get a fully working prototype. So let's see how AI understand our needs. So Google Stitch has pretty great responsiveness. Like we have full mobile version, it's looking awesome. Let's go through pages. We go to this configurator. We have image here. Well, actually on mobile, this image looked much better than on the desktop. I don't know why. This configuration is pretty great. The only downside, we don't see everything that we selected near our total. We can see it here on the image, which is like a bummer. But okay, it's there and it's calculate price. Great. Then there is no menu to go back. What if we go to main page? So our menu just disappeared. How we could go to our other pages. So what's the process? Would it be a features page? Nope, it's not. So we can't go there. How we go to a features page? Let's go through our screens inside the prototype. So here's the gap. We have a mobile version, but it's not user-friendly enough. Like there is no menu. You can't go between the pages. Some pages just doesn't exist. Okay, let's go to feature. Oh, we have menu in features, but it's not working. Okay, so consistency of the mobile design is questionable. Okay, but at least it's there. So the final verdict, it's responsive. Is it ideal? Not, but it's a great base and you can just fine tune it. Let's check Claude. So Claude doesn't have such an option to view prototype as Google Stitch, but we can use our web browser and just squish it. And yeah, it doesn't look mobile friendly. Let's reload to check. Yeah, it's not responsive. No mobile responsiveness if you didn't ask for it in Claude. Quick note, since this is literally my job, I'm a product designer and I take AI built websites like this and made them not look AI built. Links in the description. Let's talk more about the structure. I really like how Google Stitch structures features page. It looks really editorial, luxury, nice design, nice layout. We have big bold headline, we have big imagery, we have our features like C configurations here. We have this bold generated fabric samples like materials, highlights. Then we have this construction core, which is generated really cool image. The overall spacing is questionable, like spacing here and here are different, but that's okay. And then we have assembly experience. If we go to the Claude page, here it is, features. This layout is pretty generic. So Claude spent time to generate all the texts. I really like this copy. It's really refined and thought through, but the layout overall is just checkboard. The same goes to the specification page. So here in Claude, we have just a table with specification and the information just stacked under each other. And if we go to Google Stitch, we have this easy to grasp design layout where there is like dimension, there is like a materials highlight, there is structure highlights, there is leg finish. Then on the other hand, I didn't specify anything to Claude or Google Stitch about the layout, so that's their default settings. The one thing that Claude really pulled back is the writing. All this copy, all this extra addition like this eyebrow, this highlighted text, this secondary button, this CTA that highlights why we are here. Claude's text looks more like a brand, especially here on configuration page, like a lot of these small things that add design depth and improve user experience are really valuable. And Google Stitch copy is more generic. So we have like software reimagine, like we have just configure. Here, there are some attempts to go deeper with the text, but overall, it's more imagery and structure. The bottom line, I see Stitch as a beautiful designed page, but you need to work on the content as well as UX. In Claude Design, it more feels like a cohesive product, but you need to work on the imagery and finish up the whole bit to make it polished. The other thing that I want to mention that's really interesting for me as a designer is Figma Export. All these beautiful things in Claude Design and in Google Stitch create really great base and starting point to develop a bigger product, but then you need to continue working with it. And I'm as a designer really like to export to Figma. So here in Google Stitch, we actually have built-in export to Figma. So overall, there is like an export button. You need to choose the frame. So if you click on export, was not choosing frame, it's just like no screen selected. So we are selecting home screen, and then we need to choose where we'll be exporting. There are like a lot of different options, and I choose Figma. So I exported all the screen to the Figma, and I'll show you right away how it looks. It's really easy to do. You just click export in Google Stitch, and then you can paste it into the Figma file. So there are all the exported frames from Google Stitch to Figma. A few interesting points to mention. So in Google Stitch, we have generated this kind of design system, but we can't export it to Figma. If you select this screen and you click export, Figma won't be available. So this is kind of entirely for your viewing and for developing inside of Google Stitch, but you can't export into Figma. You just pass the screen as it is. The other thing, if you remember, we have this configurator with broken footer and the stuff like looking really weird. But when I exported to Figma, it actually looked okay. It looks like a legit frame with a footer on the place. So probably that's how it's supposed to look. But adding a prototype feature just broke the screen inside Google Stitch. So really interesting. Overall, we have exported frame. The outer layouts are there. You don't have any components or styles, but the feature is built in, so it's there. One thing to mention that built-in export in Google Stitch are made through third-party tool. So if you select your frame and then you go to export, select Figma, you have this label, which actually says that your HTML will be sent to Claude Design and proceed accordingly. So basically what Google Stitch does, it sends your HTML and convert it via Claude Design. Claude Design, on the other hand, don't have native option to export Figma, but there is a common plugin that I use. I mentioned it in my previous video. It calls HTML to Design. And you can export your design to Figma frames pretty easy. One thing to point out that HTML to Design is actually a product of Code to Design, so both exports are pretty similar. The only difference is when you're using this plugin, you have option to export styles, and that's exactly what I did. So for Claude Design, didn't just export a page, I also exported like text styles. So we have like our semantic here, we have our text and everything here defined by styles. We have color styles point out here. And other than that, there are all the outer layouts and containers on the place. So both tools use the same engine for export, so the results is basically identical. So same prompt, zero help. Let's talk about scores. On the looks, Stitch wins. Real image, a polished first impression, and it's free. On reach, Stitch wins again. It generates its own image and it's responsive on mobile. Claude does neither. And on single page design, Stitch made the best login page in the test. But on product as a whole, Claude wins. The configurator works. The copy has a voice. The flow is thought through. It holds together as one coherent thing. It feels like a designer made a product, not a generator making pages. So, want a pretty draft free in 5 minutes? Stitch is genuinely impressive, especially for $0. Want something closer to real shippable product and you'll do a little cleanup? Claude is the one I'll build on. I think Claude's real weakness here is image. So if I generate real photos and drop them into Claude, I think it beats Stitch outright. But yeah, here's the thing. Claude Design versus Google Stitch either have their weaknesses and their strengths. Pick your fighter and generate something awesome. And if you want to see Claude Design pushed head-to-head with Figma Make, I have the video on my channel. Same rules, one prompt, zero help. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!